But the president doesn't have a problem with shading the truth or lying or being convenient at all. Do you have the audio, Pat, from him yesterday saying that it was not his decision to remove the troops? Did you get this?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Now he is blaming the meltdown in Iraq on Maliki, saying it wasn't his decision to remove the troops.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Oh,
Oh, no, you didn't hear that?
No, he campaigned on removing the troops. He
Oh,
campaigned on ending the war.
In the debate, you got to get both pieces of audio. In the debate with Mitt Romney, Mitt Romney said, I think it's a mistake to remove it. And the president looked at him and said, I will not leave 10,000 people on the ground. We will not. We are coming home. So he says forcefully, I'm not doing that. Now, yesterday, he was saying, it wasn't my decision. We could have left 10,000 troops there. It wasn't my decision. It was Maliki's decision. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
I mean, how does this guy get away with it? How is anybody still hanging on to his words as being an honorable guy? I mean, look, we can disagree on all kinds of stuff, but your president is lying to you, repeatedly lying to you. The man doesn't have an ounce of, forget about self-respect, respect for you. He thinks you're a rube. And apparently we are. Apparently all of us are. Because the media is not reporting it. We see it. We don't care. What's wrong with us? Forget about what it says about him. What does it say about us? What does it say about us that we're willing to accept these lies? What does it say about the media that they can have the EPA chiefs and all of them, forget about whether they're calling for climate change or anything else. These were Democrat-invited EPA chiefs. Do you think the president just gave an accurate statement? None of them would. None of them would. Where is the honor? Where is the integrity of the president of the United States? There's no integrity here. It's terrifying. It really is terrifying.
Maybe the American people are starting to pick it up. You talked about that poll yesterday, Glenn, that had the president at his lowest approval rating. But looking back now, remember, Bush had the lowest approval rating ever. He was the worst president ever when he left office in the eyes of the media. At this point in the presidency, George W. Bush had a 38% approval rating, and Barack Obama, on average, has a 42%. Now think about the difference in the treatment of just the media. Is the media buying him 4 points as compared to Bush?
The media is buying him. I bet you the media is buying him 14 points.
Yeah, probably. I would say it's more like 14 points with the treatment he's received as opposed to the treatment Bush received. Yet he's only up by 4 points on Bush, who was supposedly the worst ever.
Because remember what always happens is we're a group of people that we don't care about gas prices being over $3 a gallon. We don't care about them. But if the media starts drumming it up, all of a sudden that's the only thing anybody talks about. And they know this. And that's why when they're covering for this guy, when they're not reporting the things that we have all reported just on the IRS, just on what he said with Maliki being responsible, all of the things over and over again on, well, I just found out about the news. If they would just report those things, and I'm not saying drill them, just report them and report them accurately, this guy would be down 14 points. He would have the worst approval rating because Americans are good and decent. Democrats are good and decent. They're fair. But because everybody does this. Everybody does this. We did this during the Bush administration. Come on, if that were true, then you would see that would come out, blah, blah, blah. By the media just simply not reporting the actual news. A lot of Democrats are just like, you know what? Get off this Benghazi thing. When CNN says, I'm not going to be bullied into Benghazi, that tells the Democrats there's nothing here. And so they don't do their homework. They don't know. How many of us have friends or family members that when we sit down with them and we really tell them the facts and say, no, let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. Here it is. How many of us have had friends or family that have said, well, how come this hasn't been reported? We've reported it. I can't tell you why anybody else hasn't reported it, but this is true. people just don't do their homework because they trust the media still. At least the people on the other side of the aisle still trust the media. And I tell you, when they really do find out, the media is done. The media is absolutely done. When the American people figure out that they have been lied to, forget about the president. The media is over. Nobody cares to look into the media approval ratings. They're worse than the president. You have time to play it?
Let's see. Yeah, we could probably get this, sneak it in real quick. You want to hear the...
I do. I want to hear the audio
forth?
Back and forth. This is the president yesterday on... He didn't want to pull any troops out of Iraq. Listen to this.
Do you wish you had left a residual force in Iraq? Any regrets about that decision in 2011?
Well, keep in mind, that wasn't a decision made by me. That was a decision made by the Iraqi government.
Holy cow. All right, during the campaign.
After taking office, I announced a new strategy that would end our combat mission in Iraq and remove all of our troops by the end of 2011.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's even stronger in the debate when Mitt Romney...
Yeah, I've got that too. We could play that after.
Yeah, we have to play that because it's even stronger. And he's like, look, I'm not going to do it. Because Mitt Romney says, that's really a bad idea, Mr. President. I'm not going to do it. And then he has the set to stand up and say...
Really something. Not my decision.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. Woo. We are just kind of going over the president yesterday, something that I don't think the mainstream media likes to point out for you. In a remarkable moment from the president yesterday when they asked, do you have any regrets? Do you remember how they used to say to George Bush, nothing? No regrets? Nothing? Not
You're
one
perfect
thing?
then? You're absolute,
Right.
what, you're Jesus all of a sudden? It was that kind of thing.
It really was.
Remember how bad it was?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I mean, even we would say, come on, man, you can say something. And but he would, he didn't like to admit because he knew they were going to jump all over him. Mm-hmm. But he did because they were just relentless. Here's the president yesterday when they asked, hey, do you have any regrets about pulling the troops out of Iraq?
Do you wish you had left a residual force in Iraq? Any regrets about that decision in 2011?
Well, keep in mind, that wasn't a decision made by me. That was a decision made by the Iraqi government.
I mean, it's staggering the fact that he has, on every issue, never taken responsibility. Mm-hmm. Never. No, I don't think he ever has. He said he has as he pushes it off and says it's not his responsibility. I mean, here's what he said during the campaign.
After taking office, I announced a new strategy that would end our combat mission in Iraq and remove all of our troops by the end of 2011.
And here's what you were mentioning right before the break, Glenn, with him and Romney at one of the debates.
Number two, with regards to Iraq. You and I agreed, I believe, that there should have been a status of forces agreement. Did you? True. Oh, you didn't? You didn't want a status of forces agreement?
No, what I would not have done is left 10,000 troops in Iraq that would tie us down. That certainly would not help us.
Oh.
Okay, so do you know what a status of forces agreement is? A status of forces agreement is? Status of forces agreement means that it's an agreement between you and the home country that if you have any forces there, they are there by invitation, and if something happens, you're not going to try our troops. So in other words, when he's sending in our advisors, if somebody is killed by one of our advisors, something happens, there is no agreement in place. They can drag that guy out in the street and they can try him under Iraqi law, and you're done. There's no agreement happening. So what Romney is saying is, you pulled our troops out, but we agree that there should be a status of forces agreement. Listen to that again.
Number two, with regards to Iraq. You and I agreed, I believe, that there should have been a status of forces agreement. Did you? Oh, you didn't? You didn't want a status of forces agreement?
No, what I would not have done is left 10,000 troops in Iraq that would tie us down. That certainly would not help us.
So he calls it untrue, and then he changes the subject from status of forces to what I wouldn't do is leave 10,000 troops there.
I don't even know if he knew what status of forces
I don't think he did.
Agreement even meant. I don't even think
he may not have.
Because what he's saying here is, no, I don't want to leave a bunch of people there. That's not the question, Mr. President. Mm-hmm. That's not the question. So you got him on two things. One, he's sending advisors over. And if they, this is my understanding, and please check on this, but it's my understanding from what I'm reading this morning, that we're sending these guys over. We don't have a status of forces agreement. If something goes wrong, those guys can end with their butts in jail. And what's our backup plan? By the way, Vietnam started with advisors, if you remember that. Well, we got to send in some advisors. We're just advising them. And before long, we were into it.
Yeah, and it's funny because listening to him, in his attempt to evade and be dishonest during the Romney debate, he actually makes his dishonesty worse today.
Yeah.
Because he's sitting there claiming to get out of the status of forces question to talk about the number of troops,
and
which
he
is
wouldn't
now
have
the
any.
question, right, that he's trying to get out of currently. This is what happens with every liar, right? He's put such a web of lies together, he can't keep track of them anymore. I mean, luckily he has no one to call him on it. Luckily for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lucky for him. Lucky for him.